Welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game while criticizing current players. And today we are sans Derek because he is out of town this week. We are covering episode 4, Show No Mercy. I am one of your co-hosts, Josh Wessler, joined today by Ryan Stacy.
Hey everyone, I'm here.
All alone.
Yep, all alone this time. Just a quick word on Derek. He has to go to a funeral, unfortunately. So we're thinking of Derek and his extended family today. But hopefully we'll have him back next week. But some things are more important than Survivor, sadly.
Yeah, what can you do?
On a lighter note, so we just watched episode 4, which was an interesting episode. I don't want to get too much into it without going into spoilers, because we're gonna have some fun tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and say spoiler alert right now if you haven't watched the episode. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Derek's out, baby.
Sorry, Derek. I know this is not a great time for this, but
Yep.
It's still funny in its own context.
Yes. You may not be here tonight, but you're still a loser.
Yep. Now I am sad that we can't get his reaction live on the podcast.
Yep.
But I feel like I can just picture exactly how he would react. Just a good old whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't think she was gonna win anyways.
Yeah. And he felt strongly about this one. Go back to episode 1. He was by far, like, of the three of us, I think he was the most enthused about his winner pick.
Yeah, for sure. And he felt so confident because it was that archetype that he really likes.
Yep. That doesn't always do very well at Survivor.
No, usually you just have to, as long as they're a good Survivor player, you just have to make it through the beginning, and then you can play the long game. Keywords:
LOL.
Needing to make it through the beginning.
Yep, that's the emphasis there. So Derek loses his winner pick tonight, which is always fun. We love to see it. He will, once he watches the episode, we'll have him tweet out his new winner pick, and we'll talk about it at the beginning of the next podcast as well. But he will need to make a new one.
Yeah, we'll make sure to get a thorough breakdown from him for probably next week or something.
But as a reminder, I have Ryan, you have Cassidy, who's in trouble for a minute tonight.
Got a little scared there.
And then Derek had Lindsay, and we will see who he moves on to. But episode 4, it was pretty whatever until the third act before Tribal Council, and then things got kind of crazy, kind of a wild vote. So yeah, good episode.
Yeah, I'd say overall good episode. And I was not as high on last week just because it wasn't exciting, didn't really do much for me. So I think that this was a nice bump up from that. And even had some good moments in between. Some interesting challenge moments.
Yeah, there were some good challenges tonight.
And we got some thieving and some deal making going on. So always love that.
Stupid gameplay. Particularly from the Vessi tribe. They are just a messy. I love to see it. We love a good messy tribe. All right, Josh, anything else before we jump into this episode?
No, I'm good.
All right, so let's get into episode 4 here. The Baka tribe, because, who cares about Vessi? Baka is still having problems. It's pretty much same exact story it's been for the last couple episodes, where Gabler has a terrible social game. He's putting palm fronds on people while they sleep, which wakes them up, and they're obviously irritated.
Oh, did you not like that? No.
Oh. And then Ellie and Gabler end up fighting with each other over how to build the fire the right way. It's just Ellie and Gabler going at it, but we're eventually going to get a meltdown between these two. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's half teased every single week. And that there's going to be this boiling over point, and we got it again for next week that it could happen, but they've kind of teased it multiple times, so who actually knows how long this is going to last? But
they're the final two.
Yeah, right. Gabler has really been the focal point of it, so I'm so curious about if something is going to happen before he plays his idol, or maybe he doesn't play his idol, or something else weird happens.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited about this feud to see where it ends up going. We're going to get a reward challenge. And, normally I don't really care about reward challenges, but like this one actually matters a little bit. But what is cool, we get a new obstacle where they have to like they have to knock blocks off a shelf and then use the blocks to, they get 2 blocks and they have to get one person from each tribe has to get across a stretch of sand using only 2 blocks. It's like, don't touch the hot lava kind of thing.
Yeah, the floor is lava immunity challenge here.
I'm a fan.
I really like it, especially since we haven't seen this in Survivor before. So even if it's not an entirely new challenge, if it's just an element within a challenge, love it.
Yep, I'm a fan.
It didn't seem overly difficult. It seemed pretty easy to tackle. And even if it takes you a try or two to get the hang of it, there wasn't really much consequence since there's other things surrounding it. But whatever.
Yeah, it was just cool to see something new.
Yeah,
Vessi's gonna end up winning this. Vessi's gonna have a good challenge or a good episode in theory.
Yeah, and Cody powered them through
Yep.
75% of this.
So the winning tribe, they get 10 fresh fish and they get to go on a raid of one of the other 2 tribes, and they get to steal a previous reward or like the pot or the machete. They can't touch the flint. Since Vessi has not won an immunity challenge, they're still without flint. So they can't cook anything. So they're going to end up trading Jeff the fish for some fruit and a toolkit, which was a previous reward. Because apparently you can just trade for previous rewards now, which is fine. Who cares?
Yeah, it's something that's happened in previous seasons. It wasn't set up of just like, you could do this or you can have your previous one. It was brought up by the tribe, which was a little interesting. It's just like, yeah, you can always do that. It's like, oh, okay.
Cool. I'm fine with it. I have no problem with that.
No. What do you think about the decision to switch though? Because fruit basket doesn't really do much for me. I don't know what's all included in the toolkit. They didn't really say. But it seemed like a lot of food that they were giving up.
Well, you keep in mind that they still get to steal something from another tribe. So they could always get fishing gear and catch their own fish.
Mhm.
But they can't cook, and most of the tribe isn't willing to eat raw fish. Okay, fine. Get some sort of sustenance. Who cares about the toolkit? But if you can't eat the fish, fruit's fine. Maybe a tarp if they don't have one. I can't remember. That would be better. But they want to get some sustenance, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a tarp yet. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So Vessi, they're talking about what they want to steal from the other tribe. Cody's going to volunteer to go on the camp raid, which if you've listened to our Survivor Rewind series, when we've talked about the camp raids in the past, generally we don't want you to volunteer to go on this because it can usually just piss off the other tribe.
Usually. And if you're going to think about anyone who might be a wild card this season, that's Cody.
That's Cody. I'm rooting for him. He's a wild card, and I think he handles this poorly because he's going to volunteer to go.
And people on his tribe are even kind of worried about this, but no one really wants to say anything or prevent him from going.
Which is 100% right. Let him go. So everyone wants him to get fishing gear, but Cody's like, we should just murder them all and take the machete, basically. Murder their chances of winning this game.
Team chaos.
As much as I love it, the rest of the tribe is right. You don't want to just make these people enemies because the merge is coming.
Yeah, because they're basically saying, go for the throat. There's complete offense here. There's no benefit that you gain from having the machete.
Yep.
You're just crippling the other tribe. Unlike getting a pot or food or fishing kit or whatever it might be would actually help out your tribe. You're not doing that right here.
It's the wrong move. Take the thing that will help your tribe the most. Everyone else should get over it. The least likely way to make the other tribe mad is to make the smartest move for your game in terms of helping your tribe out. The odds are the other tribe will be like, we get it. It sucks, but that's the game. If you take something to really go for the throat, like the machete, they're going to be pissed.
And they're going to remember.
Yep.
I also don't really know how big of a factor, because it was talked about multiple times about targeting the group of 6, the strongest tribe.
Yep.
Strongest being, the most successful in challenges so far, most remaining players. How important that is, because how many times have we seen that end up being a fractured group going into any sort of tribe swamp or merge or anything like that, just because they haven't drawn their lines yet.
Yeah, I would want to go into a merge. If I was Vessi, I want to go into the merge with Coco 6 strong, because they're not 6 strong. They're fractured and they haven't been able to relieve any tension. Focus on Baka. They got the 2 strongest dudes in the game on their tribe with Sammy and Owen.
And the best fishing kit.
And the best fishing kit. I don't get this move. But they're going to send Cody on over to Coco. And Cody's like, hey, I might take your guys' machete. Which gets the Coco tribe to start negotiating. Like, how about you don't take the machete? Take the fishing gear instead, and we'll give you some extra food to throw in to sweeten the deal. Which, Cody as a salesman is very happy about this. And this was kind of his plan all along, allegedly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised since they had decided this as a tribe.
Yeah.
He's kind of teasing like, yeah, if I grab the machete, I grab the machete, whatever. But no, as a salesman, number one thing, he's just looking for leverage to try to turn one thing that he's going to get from them into two. And that's exactly what he did here. And he did it flawlessly.
He did. But Coco realized what he did afterwards. Now they don't trust him. Now they're kind of irritated with him. They feel like they got played. And I think Cody hurt his, he helped his tribe now. He hurt his chances long term because I don't think anyone on Coco is going to trust him come merge.
Yeah, I don't know. I think being there in the first place isn't good for him. But I think he made the most out of this situation that he possibly could. And it seemed like they all, after the fact, felt like it was like they not got bamboozled, but that Cody really kind of took advantage of them in this negotiation process. But it's almost like, oh, we did that to ourselves. Like,
True.
We offered these things up ourselves. It's not like he's coming in and taking our machete and really pissing them off that way. So I don't think there'll be too many long-term negative ramifications for Cody because of this.
And I'm fine with Coco making this trade because they, I'm going to trust them and they say the machete is the most important thing. They stopped that from getting stolen. You don't need to have fishing gear. You can survive on other stuff. And it sounds like they have a decent source of food on their beach. So fine for Coco.
And it's not like they handed over like this giant food supply. They handed over like a large root thing, which, I mean, I don't know much about those roots, but it didn't look like that great of a deal.
They're kind of like potatoes, kind of.
Sure.
And they got some limes as well.
Mm.
We're going to go to the immunity challenge, which is another pretty cool one. They have to solve geometric puzzles with the same pieces, but making different shapes with the same pieces, which is really cool. I'm terrible at these. I would be just awful at this.
Yeah, I really struggle with these. It's always like the games that like show up on like a mobile game or whatever. It's like, rearrange this stuff to solve the puzzle, and you always need to think like much more abstract than what it seems. And kind of like what we saw with the tribes during this challenge, you need the base. You need the base to start, and then you can probably go from there. It might take you a little bit of time, but whatever. I wouldn't even be able to get the base down on something like this. I would struggle so hard.
Yeah, this is not my type of thing. Maybe we're not abstract enough thinkers.
This is another one of those Derek puzzles.
I don't even know that. Do you think Derek would be good at this? I don't know.
I'm just taking that from the premiere when he like immediately knew. It's like, oh yeah, break it into having an extra digit or whatever.
True.
Like that is abstract-ish thinking, thinking outside the box. And for this, instead of having a base that's at a 90-degree angle and has the pieces all make sense, it's like, no, you have to picture it completely different than what it actually seems like it should be. Yeah, it just seems like Derek's wheelhouse.
Well, Vessi's gonna win, and then they're going to make the worst move of the episode, basically, and they're gonna start helping Baka like this is a Redemption Island duel. And Baka's gonna get second because Vessi helps him. This is so bad. Because Coco's like, what the hell? All right. Well, now we know how this game is going to be played, and we can't trust any of them. They're all working together. This just solidified Coco. I think you made these 5 ultra tight, potentially. I don't think that's going to end up happening, but like on paper, these 5 should be so tight going into the merge because they know they could be in trouble.
You would think so. And it might shrink down to being like 4. Once it gets down to it, maybe there might be a lone straggler, but I don't think they'll have too much against Baka. But especially for Vessi, that's going to be tough to get over because that's the only thing they're talking about.
Just stay out of it. Let the other tribes duke it out. Celebrate your win mildly, and just be neutral because you don't know who you're going to need on your side come the merge. You need to get to the merge, pissing off the fewest amount of people as possible because you don't know who you're going to need to use to get to the end.
And it's not like they're up by like 3 people or something.
No.
They have a 1-person advantage over Baka. So after this, they're even, and you just pissed off an entire tribe.
Yep.
What is the benefit of that? It's
This was
funny.
terrible.
It's
Oh, yeah.
hilarious. And it's going to be entertaining for us, but no, can't recommend.
As consultants, do not do this. You don't need to be making enemies this early in the game.
Leave that for the post-merge when
Exactly.
you can work your way around it.
Ideally, play the game without making any enemies, but that's unlikely. So Coco, they're gonna go to tribal council. Gio and Ryan, they want to bring in James and Carla to take out Cassidy because Gio and Cassidy don't really get along that well. Gio micromanages the cooking, really pisses off Cassidy. So she and Lindsay want to take out Gio, and they pull in Carla and James. So Carla and James are the swing votes, but they are immediately like, yeah, we'll take out Gio. He's kind of annoying. Easy.
And specifically, he wants to be calling the shots.
Yep, he's power hungry.
Yep, which, yeah, that's not going to work out long term.
No, it's too early for that. So Carla and James, they're done. It's a done deal. They are going to take out Gio. Until Lindsay's like, wow, this is way too easy. That means they're coming for me. And she freaks out, kind of like Jamie all the way back in Survivor Guatemala. Major Jamie vibes here.
Nice callback there.
Yeah, reminded me so much of Jamie.
Yeah. Which, understandable. I completely understand how it can be, nerve-wracking to be going to tribal and all that stuff. But here's the thing. This is your first tribal. So yep. You have to, absolutely, no choice, put your trust into people, even though you don't know if that trust is reciprocated, because you're going to find out. You'll find out later on whether or not it's going the right way and that people were telling the truth. And then you can sort it out from there. But it's not like we're 2 or 3 votes in for this tribe and you're getting paranoid about like a blind side or something like that. This is completely different. You are really just rolling the dice in your first vote, hoping that the connections you made are actually real.
This is where you learn if you're playing well. And Lindsay was, up until she gets paranoid. Lindsay was in a great position. She was fine. She was not going home. Gio was going. She loses it. And she's going to go home because of this, so it had to be even worse than what they showed us. Like James and Carla, they start talking about, like, should we flip? Should we take out Lindsay instead? And James is like, well, let's hold off. Let's not do anything crazy yet. Let me talk to her and calm her down. And so we get a long scene of James just trying to chill Lindsay out. But clearly, as much as James tried, he was done with her. And he and Carla are going to flip and knock her out of the game. So it's wild.
Yeah, it's wild from Lindsay's point of view, and it's also wild from I'll say both Carla and James, since it seems like you said, they're kind of the swing votes here. It's interesting just since those, like I said, those lines haven't been drawn, and you don't really you've already said that you don't want to play with Gio. So is this enough really to cut ties with Lindsay right away?
On paper, I say no. Based on what we saw in this episode, I would say no. Carla maybe not so much because she had a bond with Gio, but even she, like during this episode, she says she's kind of sick of Gio. Okay, so you want to go with your main 4. James is tight with them. Cool. Was Lindsay's freak out enough to flip? I don't think so, unless there was more we didn't see, which is probably the case. It's really tough to say for sure, but the thing to consider is this is the first vote. Will Lindsay calm down after this? If you get through this vote, next time, does Lindsay freak out again? Yeah, sure, cut her, get rid of her. Maybe let this first one go and keep her and roll the dice. It really depends on how close, is there any real connection to Gio? So on paper, I say they should have gone for Gio. But there could have very easily been more going on, which would make Lindsay the right vote.
Yeah, strictly from what we saw, I would say that it doesn't really make sense to cut Lindsay here. And I'm really curious about what the dynamic with them and Ryan is, because he hopped on to vote out Lindsay here as well. So Gio was the odd man out still on this tribe, which I thought was really interesting. I thought they were going to be kind of a duo, and it didn't end up falling that way. So
unless Gio voted for Cassidy in case of a shot in the dark,
Mm,
which we don't know.
that's possible.
That's not been told to us, but that could be the case where Gio was just like the backup vote, like, hey, just in case Lindsay plays a shot in the dark, you throw one on Cassidy or something like that. We weren't shown that, but that could be the case.
Yeah, and that's really the only thing that's that I'm getting hung up on a little bit more is if you are gonna vote for Lindsay here and just cut ties, you kind of need to have a pretty good group going forward. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck with 3 people, and 3 is not a great amount, even if you do end up surviving, because technically that's the majority. As we've seen, advantages can come into play, but then, even if you do get to a merge situation, 3 is not a big block to be voting
Nope.
together.
You know, I think James, Carla, and Ryan could end up being very tight out of this. So maybe once they get to the merge, it's the 3 of them, they can, since they're like the tightest group, they could be really efficient and maneuver through the other tribes. But they got to get there, and you have Gio and Casty who don't seem to like each other all that much.
It's a long road. Personally, I think Gio's the odd man out, but who knows?
Yeah, it is a little tough to say. You know, my opinions for like best, worst, and everything on this episode, you know, could definitely change going, you know, once we get the opening scene of next time, once they get back to camp, because we need to know where Gio was and all this and how tight some of these people are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a little more hesitant. I don't have a ton of strong takes tonight with all my best and worst and everything, just because you know, as is the case with Survivor a lot of the time, we didn't get all the information we needed because they wanted to surprise us.
No, and there aren't any
fine.
slam dunks, I don't think, tonight.
But yep, that's going to be 4 votes for Lindsay, 1 for Gio, 1 for Cassidy. On paper, I say it's the wrong move, but you know, I don't feel strongly.
I also think it's the wrong move. It seems like I feel a little bit more strongly than you do, just because I think that you could wait, like you said, wait a vote to see if Lindsay calms down. If there's still a lot of paranoia, cool, then cut ties with her. Plus, at least from what it seemed like through the edit, she would have been a lot stronger of an alliance member than someone like Ryan. Don't know if that's actually the case, but at least that's the way that I perceived it on the show.
Should we check in with Twitter and see what they had to say?
Yeah, sure. So it tweeted out right after the vote whether or not the right person went home tonight, and we got 60% of people that said no.
Okay.
The right person did not go home.
Okay, so it sounds like we're on the same page with Twitter for once.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're thinking go for Gio. Who knows? Maybe they don't like Cassidy, and they wanted the first plan.
I don't know what's wrong with Cassidy. She hasn't done anything to not like.
I know, right? My winner pick.
Let's get into best and worst player of the episode. Why don't you start us off? Why don't you give us your best player of the episode?
Sure, might as well. I feel like you're not gonna like this one, but I'm gonna go with Cody here. I know it was flawed because of his visit to the camp, but he beast moded himself through that reward challenge. It was all him. He dominated the other tribes. The only reason that it was close was because Dwight really struggled with the end bag part of it, and Jeff kept saying it over and over again, so it seemed like he actually kind of got some recognition. Number 2, yes, I don't like that he volunteered to go, but he got the best possible deal out of the situation while not completely rubbing the other tribe the wrong way. Yeah, he put up the machete as, you know, his big high mark that he wanted to get. Tribe seemed like they weren't super happy about it over at Coco, but he's kind of just like, no, I'm the messenger. Like, don't shoot the messenger. It wasn't my decision. It's what the tribe consensus was. And then made a deal off of it. Ended up getting a 2-for-1. So I feel like the him coming back to the tribe with those goodies is going to give him a lot of social capital from the rest of the tribe. And it doesn't seem like Coco was too terribly off put by this entire deal going down. Yes, they had a little bit of buyer's remorse after the fact, but I don't think that that's going to pay long-term negative dividends for Cody.
Well, I'm going to jump to my worst player of the episode, which is Cody. Wow. I'm kind of shooketh right now. I don't give a crap about how he did in the challenge because I don't care about that kind of thing. No, Cody, you know, the entire Vessi tribe should not have helped Baca, which I do think was the worst move of the episode. So I want to give it to someone on Vessi, and then I want to give it to Cody from there because he volunteered to go, which he shouldn't do. And then, he did okay. He got the maximum amount of stuff probably he could get out of the situation. I still think they could cost him in the end. He may have won the battle. I think he might lose the war. And then that compounded with the fact that, his tribe helped Baka at the challenge. It makes Coco trust him even less. So I think the Vessi was bad at this episode, and Cody was the worst of the Vessi. So my worst player of the episode is Cody.
In my defense, I don't believe I really saw. No, I know it's just the tribe as a whole. But I don't believe I saw Cody helping the other tribe. It was all started by Noel.
It was started by Noel. I think the others jumped in, guilty by association. Shut that down.
True.
You can't have that because Cody's with them now.
I don't think there's any shutting it down, by the way. I think it was you let the cat out of the bag, and there was no stopping that train.
No, you shut that down. That absolutely not. I try not to stick my neck too far out when I'm on Survivor would be my plan. This is one of the times where you're like, nope, Noel, shut up. Absolutely not. Do not help the other tribe. For my best player, I don't feel great about anyone. I'm going to end up giving it to James. Because, James and Carla were the two best on Coco, just the way they handled everything. And I'm kind of going to end up defaulting to trusting the tribe on this one, just because James did say, hey, let's not do anything crazy right away. Let me go talk to her and calm her down and we'll be fine. And the fact that he did that and still ended up voting for her in the majority group, and they got Ryan involved. She must have been even worse than we saw on camera. Like, she must have been melting down. So, I'm just making some inferences here. But I'm going to give it to James just because I think he handled it better than Carla, where he was like, let everyone just like chill. So I just really liked his mentality in this episode. And I don't think anybody else on any of the other tribes were good at all. So James is my best of the episode.
And I think that's why I ended up giving it to Cody, is because I didn't really want to give it to anyone on Coco who was a part of this decision, just because it didn't make sense to me. Yeah, I get trusting the players, but I still need to go based on what I see on the actual show. And to me, it was the wrong move. So with that, it's like, you have someone who you're obviously really close with. You can talk to her one-on-one and be the person to try and convince her to stay calm, not be paranoid, all this other stuff. So she was obviously someone you were pretty tight with, and now she's gone. And all for what? Not wanting to wait a vote in order to see if she calms down. So that is what drove me to not be able to pick one of those people from Coco as the best player. It's kind of why I just and then I wasn't going to pick anyone on Baka. So that's kind of why I defaulted to Cody there. It's just because I did like some of those highs were a little bit better for me.
How about your worst player?
I kept bouncing back and forth here. Gio was a little obvious with suggesting someone to go out immediately, being Cassidy, and then that obviously tipped people off, just like, this guy's going to try calling the shots. So not great by him. Ultimately, I think I'm going to go with a little bit more of the stance that you're taking, is that it has to come from someone on Vessi. So I did give it to Noelle here, just because she seemed to be the loudest person that was helping out Baka, in addition to being the first one.
Yep.
So she started the entire thing. I don't think that that's going to be a huge focus. And I think you're right, where they're just going to, resent the tribe as a whole versus just the person who started it. But the fact that she started it isn't great.
Sure. No, I get that totally. Yeah, no, Noelle was bad. All right. Well, as I mentioned, this is where Derek would pick his new winner pick, but we can't do that here. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned till next episode.
So let's get into who is going next. Josh, take us over to Baka. Who's out?
I'm gonna flip here. The last couple episodes I was saying Janine, but there just seems to be too much tension between Gabler and Ellie, so I'm gonna flip on over to Ellie here. I really want to go with Gabler just because everything points to them wanting to get him out, but I can't look past the idol. Yep. I just can't.
I agree completely. I'll take us to Coco. This one's really interesting. I think Ryan, James, and Carla are safe. Who do they trust the most? I'm leaning towards Cassie, so I think Gio will be out next.
I agreed with you there.
How about Vesey? Messy Vesey.
This is kind of a crapshoot still, just given, 2 votes ago. But I'm gonna stick with Noelle here, just because she seemed like the person on the outside before, and I don't think anyone's gonna try to, have a 2-2 tie. So I think Dwight will still hop over and take her out.
With the vote steal stuff going on, and the idol, I'm gonna stick with Jesse.
Yeah, it's fair. I will say he was in the teaser for next episode, so I think this will be a turning point for sure if they do end up going to tribal.
Yep.
That Jesse might have an advantage or no vote.
Yep, it's definitely possible. Now let's get into the most consistent segment of our episode. The Who Can't Win? It's Gabler.
It's Gabler.
Cool.
Derek, your thoughts?
It's Gabler. Oh, wow. Thanks, Derek. All right. So last thing we got to check in with is our survivor pool.
Yeah, and as everyone knows, Derek is now out of 2 things.
Yep.
Because 2 episodes ago, Derek lost based on his pick of NECA. So as a reminder, Ryan, I'll let you go first, but your players that you cannot choose from include Gabler, Cody, and Carla.
Yep, and so my strategy kind of falls apart a little bit here because I picked everyone who's got an idol. The only person left with an advantage is Noelle with the steal a vote, but that's not good enough for me to pick her. So I just want to go with I think that the safest pick here, and just keep chugging along and hope you make a mistake. I'm gonna pick James.
No, that was mine too.
Did you really pick James?
Yeah, I picked James for mostly the same reason. I don't think he has a chance of going home, which means now that I said that, he's probably going to go home. But if you're just looking at like how Coco could flip, the people that I think could go home are Gio, maybe Ryan, and then I guess maybe Cassidy.
Yep.
I think Carla's very safe, and it seems like James is right alongside her, so I think he's just as safe as her at this point.
All right. Well, that's another episode in the bag. You can follow us on Twitter at Castaway Pod. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We're around on Reddit. We have a website. Check all that stuff out. It's awesome. And then hopefully Derek will be back next week with some more terrible opinions.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he has a lot of opinions about this episode, so stay tuned for all of his hot takes about why he was robbed with his Lindsay pick and why she shouldn't have gone home and why, Survivor hates him.
Yeah. Who do you think he's going to pick for his new winner pick?
Ooh, good question. I think he's going to switch to, he still says it's going to be either Owen or Carla. Because he loves Owen.
Yeah.
So he might just stick to his guns. Owen was his preseason #1 choice. So, he's a very prideful person. So he might dig his heels in and go with Owen here. Otherwise, he'll join us with
Derek digging his heels, and that's never happened.
Otherwise, I think you'd jump over to Carla.
Yeah, those are the big 2. I could definitely see Jesse as well. If he wanted to mix things up. But yeah, I think you're right. If I had to bet, I would bet on Owen.
Yeah. Seems right.
All right, Josh, do you got anything else?
No, I don't think so. And for the future, if anyone would like to send in a question for us, go through literally any social channel that we have, send us a DM or reply to one of our tweets with a question about the episode, and we will absolutely answer it on the podcast.
Yep. Oh, we'd love doing that kind of stuff. Even just a comment, we could read it. If you have anything nice to say about us, we'll read it. If you want to trash Derek's opinions, I'll read it. All right. Well, anything else, dude?
No, I don't think so.
All right, I'm gonna go edit this thing, and it shouldn't take very long.
No, it's crazy what happens, and we don't have Derek talking us over here.
Love you, Derek, when you listen to this.
Love you.
All right. This has been the Castaway Consultants. Got nothing else for you.
Good night.